Thanks, Drew. All right. Do we have a volunteer to begin, or shall I pick a victim? Hey, about Ron. How about Ron Robbins? You have to turn your mic on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I've got 3 issues with, or 2 issues plus something, a question mark, with my site at the moment. I've been using WordPress for a few years, but then they completely changed it with the help of a crew of software group from Mohawk College in Hamilton, and put together my new website. And anyway, finished with them, but a couple of things have arisen. One is that the pages, homepage included, are not updating. So obviously I'm going to edit and do the changes, and it's just not updating the pages. So now one of the chaps I'm working with in the college group has 1 or 2 ideas, but since I'm with you folks who are very knowledgeable about WordPress, I thought that's a question I have. One question anyway.
Can you tell us what theme you're using?
It's called, oh, you know what?
Or how
I know
about
it's
this?
a child. I know it's a child theme. Sorry, I should have had that off the bat. I should have had that information.
Why don't you share your dashboard page for your site?
Okay, sure.
So if you fire that up on your machine and then do the share screen thing.
Right, right.
And then when we get that going, we'll do one more thing before we start.
Okay, can you see it yet?
Yes, we can. How about now putting the link into the chat? Because I know,
right. Yeah,
that would help.
Yeah.
Well, just copy.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get the bottom menu up again. I don't normally use Zoom, so forgive me.
Which menu are you talking about? Oh, the chat window.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to the left.
I know
of the
there's a
share
menu.
screen.
It should be at the bottom, right?
Yeah, bottom, just to the immediate left of the share screen. Sometimes if your window's not large enough, right, 1 or more of the icons will disappear into the 3-dot menu.
Oh, I'm sorry about all this. This is
No problem.
silly.
No problem. But the domain name is investingforthesoul.com, right?
Right, that's right.
Okay, well,
I feel really embarrassed. Why can't I see the bottom menu? Hide thumbnail, show small active. Weird. I had it before.
Oh, is that investing for the soul?
Oh, okay. I got the okay, so chat window, where are we? Okay. Yeah, so it's investing for the soul.com.
Right. For some reason, I'm not getting a site. I'm getting everything but investing for. You know why? It's just so automatic to add a space.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That I've just done it 3 times with the same error in each case.
Yeah, there's the link, live link.
Okay, so we're good to go. Then can you now get to your admin page?
Yeah. 1 second. So there's the admin page.
And if we just go down to theme or to appearance.
Right.
And
So the
themes.
themes, yeah.
And we'll just check
I
to
know it's
see
a
what.
child of it's a child theme. Where are we?
Okay, do you know what it's a child of?
There we are. Acumen. That's it. Acumen
Acumen.
child. Right.
Right. Now, do you understand sort of why it's called a child theme?
As I understand it, it can't be altered, or at least I know the regular themes can be subject to regular updates and things, and you want to customize it somewhat.
Right. Good. That's good to know. And now so go to your. Is it the home page that you're experienced the problem with? Is that the only page?
Oh no.
Or all the pages are not updated?
There's a lot of pages. It's a big site. Well, I call it a big site. There's several hundred pages. Not pages, posts, but it's quite a few posts. So we go to, so there's home. Do you see that?
Yep. So can you make a trivial change, like
exactly
a period in or something?
Yeah. Now the home page has, okay. So, I'm just going to move something. All right. So since 2001. All right. So let's update it now.
Now, what have you changed?
I changed the since 2000. It was 2003.
Okay.
Actually 2002, and I changed it to since 2001.
Right.
So should we go to view page?
Just could you scroll up a little bit? I'm just looking to see what the template is. It looks like default template. No parent.
Oh, sorry. Where are you looking?
Right hand side, the right hand down a little bit, just so we want to scroll up. That's fine. That's fine.
Default template. Do you want me to check that?
Ron, I just refreshed your site and I'm still seeing since 2002.
Exactly. That's the issue.
I wonder if you have a caching issue here.
Yeah, that's what a friend of mine said, that he think it could be that.
Let's have a look
on the server, right?
Well, maybe. Let's have a look at your plugins. Have a look at the list of plugins that you've got.
The plugins?
Sure.
Yeah, I had a lot installed, but I was using Updraft Plus. So I basically deactivated most of them, although for some reason after going through the Updraft Plus back stuff, a lot of the plugins became activated again. So
I'm not seeing a
there's a light speed cache in there.
I missed a light speed.
Yeah,
cache.
light speed.
But it's
okay, but it's not activated though.
Right.
No.
Now, who's your host?
A company called .Canada.
.Canada.
Have you heard of them at all?
No, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And the reason I ask is that fairly frequently, the host will provide a caching plugin or a plugin that implements the caching that they run on their end.
Oh, I see.
And that can have its own clearing function.
I see. Yeah.
But there's about 5 different ways in which caching can occur. One of them being hosting, another one being your own browser. Plugins can cache things, whether dedicated or not. A WP Rocket, for example, is a caching plugin. But we don't have any of those here, do we, Drew? I don't see anything.
No.
What about anything that Jetpack does and doesn't list itself here as a plugin?
Well, if you could scroll up just a little bit, you've got Jetpack Social. Oh, and you've also got Jetpack. Let's have a look into Jetpack settings.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do now, Ron, is just identify the potential source places where caching occurs.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it has to be something though that's caching site-wide.
Yeah. Do you want me to restore connection there?
Let's leave that for now. Let's just scroll down.
Although, Drew, if it
Yeah.
turned out that for some reason that was an issue, maybe we should start with that, because if Jetpack's doing something, when you're disconnected, it can't update itself, right? Or
So shall I connect?
restore or not, Drew?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's restore. And then let's just quickly check, try refreshing your front page, just on the off chance that,
Right.
I mean, it only takes 2 seconds, so.
Right.
Oh, it's still 2002. Okay, so, right, so back to Jetpack. Oh, it wasn't,
Completed the
Oh,
connection.
hold on.
hadn't been completed.
I think okay. I should have connected with something else anyway.
Okay, so let's try refreshing the home page.
I'll go with Jetpack.
Well, don't you have some paid Jetpack stuff?
No.
Oh, I saw Jetpack Protect. Is that a separate plugin?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just check the home page.
Yeah, it's still showing 2002.
Okay, so it wasn't anything to do with the Jetpack connection. So let's go back to Jetpack and see what it's doing. So yeah, it's the settings that we want for Jetpack. So
Site accelerator looks like a potential. Oh, yeah. All right.
that's the search. So yeah. Enable site accelerator.
Yeah.
What do you think, Drew? Turn off site acceleration? See if that...
Well, I wonder if there's a way of, there's usually a way of clearing the cache, but for now, let's just turn out disable the accelerator.
Sorry, do what?
Disable? Yeah, disable the accelerator. That's done. And
Refresh the home
no
page.
effect. No, still getting 2002.
Um,
All right. That's
there's likely to be a caching setting at the host level, right?
possibly. So you might want to reactivate that accelerator.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing would be to go into your hosting control panel.
Okay. You mean cPanel?
cPanel, yes, it's different on different hosts. A lot cPanel is fairly common.
Right. You can't see my password, right? Well, actually, I need to go somewhere here. Yeah, I don't want to show my password.
Why not stop the screen sharing, put your
Yeah.
password in, then resume
Right.
the screen sharing?
Yeah,
Right.
it should obscure your password.
Well,
Well,
I
just
have to go
type the
to, I
first two
have to
characters.
go and your screen sharing stop share for a moment. Okay. I have to pick it up from somewhere else. Okay, I'll restart screen sharing.
All right.
So where do you want to go?
Let's, the first thing is all email stuff. Second one is all backup stuff, billing and.
How about
There is a
file
settings.
manager? Hmm?
There is a set, just scroll back up just a little bit. There is a setting, a little bit more. There is a settings one there on the left.
Yeah, that's for Jetpack. Jet
Oh,
backup.
sorry, that's just Jetpacks. You're right. That's not what we want. So keep scrolling. Oh, manager.
All right, hold here for a second. There's one that I want to come back to in the software section after we finish going through it. It's the optimized website. You scroll up just a bit.
And there also is at the bottom there through an advanced section.
Yeah, so that's databases. Okay.
That's the email. So I presume you want metrics security?
No, you can just scroll down slowly, please.
PHP.
A little more.
Terminal
Let's see.
index.
Okay, let's scroll up a bit and we'll look at in the software section on the third column, we're going to look at optimize website. Okay, that is disabled. All right, scroll down a bit. Or is that the full?
That's it,
there?
yeah.
Okay, all right, that is disabled. All right, so that's that color. All right, well, I'm not seeing a caching plugin that you can control here.
Could we back up one step and then try the the searching for cache?
All right, sure.
Or just cache without the E. So it catches caching and cache. That's, yeah, okay.
Anything there?
Well, in the Apache stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it would belong, except that
Yeah.
you wouldn't exactly call that manage certain file types and file extensions. If you could scroll down and just see whatever the bottom ones, check backup, contact info. Okay. So you want to look at the Apache advanced thing?
In advanced, I don't see Apache unless it's oh, wait a minute, there is some Apache settings. Can you close the search box there for a second? Apache handlers. Let's have a look at the Apache handlers under advanced. It's in the third column there. Down
Packages, so that one?
No, Apache handlers.
Down below, straight down. more.
Oh, okay, right.
Okay, let's scroll down to see if there are any that are defined.
Sorry to take so much of your time. I mean, everybody else, I'm sure, wants has questions.
Yeah, only when you're ready. I have more of a proposal
Okay,
to request. So you let me know.
sure.
Okay.
Well, I'm not seeing anything obvious here. Okay, I think we can go back out. The only other thought is if the theme is actually doing something like that. I mean, you're not really supposed to put caching functions in a theme, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they haven't.
So you want me to go back to the admin panel?
Into the WordPress administration, yeah. Let's have a look in the customizer and see if
appearance,
or if the I wonder if there's a I wonder if there's a.
Well, we're following what the sort of mainstream advice is. If
see,
your
this
site's not
shows
showing-
this shows
Yeah.
the 2001. It shows
Shows that it.
so, but it's just on the browser.
What's in theme options? Okay, nothing there. Well, I'm looking for anything that shouldn't be here, like caching settings, which definitely should not be in here. Okay, let's go back out to the next level up there. And there's theme
Drew, just by way of confirming what you're already doing, 2 posts, one being Kinsta, says start off with caching issues, caching problems.
Yeah.
Your own web browser, which wouldn't be the case because we're all seeing it.
Yeah.
The site's cache or your CDN. Do we know if he's got a CDN running?
Well, I didn't see any evidence of it. There's no CDN plugin.
And there's
that I
nothing,
could
there was
see.
no CDN in the cPanel.
No, not that I could see, no. Okay, well, you can cancel out.
Wait a second, though, you know,
yeah.
that Lightspeed plugin that's for an Nginx server. I don't think that's for an Apache server.
It actually does work with Apache, but it works best with the Lightspeed server. But it will work with Apache as well.
Okay.
So I guess you can cancel out of that X there and the customizer. Well, I'm drawing a blank. I mean,
Wow.
it's everything here does point to some kind of a caching issue. The only other thing is you could open a ticket with your hosting company and let them know about this problem and ask them if they have any caching on top of your site that you can't control. That is possible.
Right. Actually, my friend who helped develop the site, he actually put a question along those lines to them already. Yeah, but I haven't heard back.
I haven't, yeah, okay.
Oh,
For what it's worth, Ron, I'm just putting in the chat window a link to an article specifically on this issue.
Hmm.
And Kinsta is pretty reputable. I generally find them reliable. There's also a Hostinger version of the same thing, but you'll find that this particular search seems to be getting the job done.
Okay.
But the odds are 90+% that it's a caching issue. And the question is, how do we find where the cache is occurring so we can clear it?
Right. Right.
There's got to be caching going on at the server. And so it's possible that it's just, they just require you to ask for it, and that they removed that from the cPanel, UI, because caching is something that's an ordinary incident of hosting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they implement it different ways with different products, but I mean, it's all got the same basic purpose, and they necessarily have to give you an opportunity to clear it when you have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
The caching is the most likely culprit here, but there is one more thing that can cause this problem. Is if you say the site was recently redeveloped.
Oh yeah, this is a new site.
Yeah. So if the site was developed in a different directory, you may actually have parallel sites with your old and new site, and you may actually not be editing the site you think you're editing. So we can have a look at that in cPanel. If we could have a look at your cPanel page again. Let's go up to the files section, and we'll have a look at your file manager. All right, and we'll scroll down to okay, there's a home. Okay, I'm going to go down to public HTML. So click on public HTML. All right. Well, it looks like there's only one
site
there, one site there. Let's have a look. Click on Home 2.
Sorry?
There's a directory called Home 2, which is just a little bit it's
oh yeah, Home 2, right.
Okay, okay, there's nothing really. And click on invest in just underneath that.
Invest in?
Yeah, underneath Home 2, yeah. Okay, okay, so there's nothing there. So I was just wondering if the old site was there, or the new site was there.
Well, the old site was definitely, well, it was definitely here.
Yeah, I noticed there's also a public.html. If you it's above.
Yeah, I think it was done by mistake. That's an old
right.
Should be deleted, I guess.
Okay.
Ron,
okay.
You could make a note to ask the fellow who's helping to look at the file system specifically for what Drew's talking about, and just put it to him that, is it possible that we've duplicated the site inadvertently, and I'm editing one site, but it's the other site that's displaying.
Okay, yeah, and there's one more thing I would like to check. Let's close the file manager, or you can just go back. You can just go back to the cPanel window. You don't even need to close it. I want to have a look at your DNS settings. So if you scroll down to domains, I think it was just up a bit. Oh no, here it is. Okay, let's have a look into domains. Okay, all right, everything looks there as it should be. All right, so you don't have, it's pointing to the right directory. All right, so
there is potentially one other thing, Drew.
Yeah.
What about duplication in the database? Or at least, editing in one table, but displaying from another.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
I mean, I haven't heard of that before, but I mean, if
Could
you could
happen.
inadvertently duplicate a
no.
directory.
I did
Right.
have a different data. There's a different database for the old site and for the new site, as I understand
that
it
could
from
be
the.
an
How
issue.
did you move the content over from old to new?
No, I think we created a whole new database.
Well, let's
No,
have
but I mean, did the content of the pages? come
Oh,
from
okay.
the
Well,
old
they were
database?
just deleted from the file manager, the old pages, and then the new ones added.
Okay. Let's go back into the tools and we'll have a look at your databases. Databases. Okay, so we're going into MySQL databases. And scroll down and, well, that is interesting. So there are, in fact, two databases. All right.
One is much bigger than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that'd be the new site.
The new site is bigger. Okay. Now, I wonder if the same user going to both of them. The next thing I want to do is something that you really shouldn't do in a public forum. I was going to go into the WP config file and see which database it's pointing to, but we don't want to do that because this is being recorded and going on YouTube and stuff like that, and that's what that would expose your database password. But I think we can see that in the WP, the default version of the WordPress health, the default version of the WP health check plugin does not show the statistics with the database, but the better version of WP Health, that's the free plugin from the repository, does. So we just want to make a note of these two databases. Invest in _ investing for the soul is the larger database, and we think that's the new one. And
I believe so, because I remember this chap really creating a new database specifically for the new site.
And
one thing you might consider trying is make a change in the page, but instead of the date, make up, like I say, a 4-character non-word, like just almost random characters, just to make it the single instance of that word. And then you can search in the database for that unique term and confirm which database it's in, and that's the database that the content is coming from. Because I think what Drew is adverting to is the possibility that we are updating in one database and displaying from another.
Yeah, however, having rethought that theory, I just don't see how that would be physically possible for WordPress to do. To edit in one database and display from the other.
Well, only in the sense that one database is not actually powering the site. The other database is. And so if you go into the wrong database, well, you can make all the changes you want. They won't affect the site because it's not producing the site.
If you were editing the database directly, that would be true, but we're editing the database through the WordPress backend.
Right. But we haven't checked to see what database we are changing with a change through the editor. Right?
However,
I mean, you're saying WP config can do that.
What? We don't want to check WP.
No, but I mean, Ron can have his friend. You can make a note that we suggested that one of the things you check is the WP config file, because that will tell you exactly which database is powering the site.
Mhm. Yeah, except I don't see, I'm not aware of any way that WordPress can edit and display from two different databases.
No, I'm saying, what I'm saying is that you're editing in a database that's available, but it isn't actually the database of the site at this point in time.
Yeah, I just don't.
In other words,
think
it's just
possible.
existing, standing on its own altogether, and therefore whatever you do in it will have no effect on the site because the content is not coming from that database.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible in WordPress.
I mean, you can't add a database to WordPress.
You can only have one. You can only have one database active at a time.
No, that's what I'm saying though, that, in other words, if you were editing a database, that meant it was the active one, and you can't have two active ones at the same time.
Yeah, so you can't edit one database and display from another.
Is there any now in terms of checking the database or repair database? I see you here. Is that any use?
Well, there's no indication that there's a database problem.
Okay.
However, if you have a plugin, a backup plugin that you trust that will back up the database, then you might put that on your list as sort of if all else fails. But I mean, you wouldn't, that's a bit of a heavy sort of way to tackle the problem. So
I've tested database repair tools on databases that did have problems, and none of them did any good.
well, that's always good advice. Well, I'm sorry, Ron, that we haven't made more progress, but we've given you some leads.
Yeah.
The Kinsta article or post doesn't substantially add to what we've been talking about. It does make mention of user permissions being a potential cause, but I don't think you have the precondition for that particular issue to arise. But that search I gave you will produce results if they're available. And I think that the support query, the query to the host support certainly is a necessary thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised though there's no caching control in cPanel. So a question to ask the host is, how do I control caching for my site at the server level? And they may come back and say, well, that, there is no control for it because we don't let you.
Yeah. I'm just going to move my windows around here to have a look at this page. One of the things I do not see how you can do in cPanel is check your user permissions. Robin hit on something there that kind of interesting, but whether you have all the necessary user permissions for your database. WordPress should warn you if you don't.
Well, wouldn't we check that first at the site level? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
There's multiple kinds of permissions. So the site level is for roles, right? Not the permissions you're talking about at the system level.
Well, no, it isn't. It's the database permissions of the SQL database user to access the database. And that might show up in the health check. If we go into the WordPress control panel there, and we are going to look at in settings, WordPress settings, and I can't remember where health check is. It might
Maybe
be
it's under tools. I can never remember myself.
Yeah, have a look. One up from settings is tools. There it is. Oh, site health has a couple of warnings. Let's have a look at that.
Yeah, that was also one of them was on my list, but I didn't want to. Anyway,
Where is
I'll
it?
show you what it is.
All
WP 6 unauthorized blind, whatever.
right. Okay.
Unauthenticated
Jet.
blind SSRF.
Yeah.
Well, that's certainly a technical issue.
And let's have a look at the 4 recommended improvements. You should remove inactive themes. One or more recommended modules is missing. You should use a persistent object cache. All right, so it's not detecting a cache. Let's have a look at the modules that are missing.
Yeah, it's probably that there's one that this thing always kicks back on.
Okay, yeah, that's not critical.
What is that?
That is a PHP image processor.
Oh, okay.
All right.
We just look and see what it's offering under the persistent object cache, which is the next one. And just see.
Yeah, I got and that's supposed to have been already solved. I went to the host with all these issues, and that was supposed to be solved already.
Well, if they did install one of these like memcached or Redis, that could be causing this problem.
Sorry?
You see in the bottom in the last paragraph there.
Yeah.
They mention things like Redis, memcache, and memcached.
Right.
Any of those, if your host has installed any of those are highly likely to cause this kind of a problem.
Well, and they could be misconfigured. Is all right. I mean, when they well, I would think they'd be turning them on rather than installing them, right, for an individual site. But I mean, that's certainly something to check.
Yeah.
Well, as far as I know, when I checked with, I guess it was Jetpack, I'm not sure. They did say that my host has Redis available or whatever.
Right, but the point is that you want to query the host and say, please check the object caching service that you use, right? And you don't have to identify it. I mean, it's whatever they're doing. You can ask them, but the point being is that they are the ones that can check that it's properly installed and configured. If there's any technical detail in the reference they provided, then that might help, but it may just be a description of what it does. But, we haven't seen any controls for it so far. But anytime you come across the word cache or caching, then that's a flag saying check me, right? Because that's by far the most likely cause of the problem, and we just can't find where the caching is occurring.
Right.
I would also ask the host if your site is using a content delivery network or CDN. And again, there seems to be no user level control over it, but I'd be really surprised if they weren't using a Cloudflare or somebody else for a CDN.
Okay.
Yeah. There is also a possibility. I'm not all that familiar with the Lightspeed cache that you have available, but some of the caches, I'm just checking the Lightspeed cache documentation now. It has the ability to interact with object caches like Redis.
So is your thought to
yeah.
activate it and try?
Yeah, so we should probably activate the Lightspeed cache and go into the configuration there. And
through cPanel? I
no,
haven't
not through cPanel. It's in
It's a plugin.
it's in your plugins. So you go into plugins and installed plugins.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Go down to Lightspeed cache. I'll activate that. Okay, Lightspeed cache.
Settings.
Settings, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go over to item number 6, object. And you got, memcache D is enabled. All right. Object cache. Redis is also enabled. Okay.
Well, actually, no,
No, it's memo
above
cache.
it says object cache off.
Off. So
Wait a second. So object cache on or off, I think relates to what then is configured below. So nothing is on or running if I've understood what that on off refers to.
Well, I think this is the integration with the object cache. So you can now let your cache interact with the Redis and memcache D extensions.
is it status there? Memcache extension enabled, Redis extension enabled. Connection
test failed.
Yeah, that's because it's your object cache functionality within Lightspeed is turned off. So we want to turn that function on. So under see the green off and on.
Yeah.
We want to click on. Okay, and I'll just have a quick scroll down and have a look at the settings. All right. Okay. Now that that's is there a save settings on this? I can't
Yep,
see the whole screen.
Top right.
Okay.
To the right. More
Advanced.
More to the right.
Or save setting, same changes.
Yeah. Okay, and the connection test still failed. Okay.
What about Redis? Since I somehow saw that my host has enabled Redis. I don't actually match.
Yeah, no, what I was going to try here is not going to work because the connection test failed. Okay, let's turn this off again. Click off and then save changes again. And we should probably go back in and disable the Lightspeed cache.
Could we just check under the third tab there under purge and see if there's anything to purge? Okay.
Yeah.
Is this useful to purge?
Well, Ree hasn't had time to do anything, but I was just thinking that if it had been on before and then turned off, there would still be a cache somewhere because it wouldn't clear the cache or clean the cache without being told to do so. But if, you know, that's a very remote possibility.
So I want to put everything back the way we found it. So let's go into plugins. Installed plugins. Oh, hang on. Let's go back into these settings for Lightspeed cache, and scroll down a bit. Lightspeed cache settings.
Yeah.
And to object. Okay. And yeah, object. Okay, that's fine. And we turned that off. Okay, good. All right, so we can now go back into plugins. Install plugins.
Is this useful? I mean, the Lightspeed, is that the usual good thing to use?
It's a pretty good cache. It's one of the better ones. And we'll deactivate that for now. So I would wait for your host to respond on the caching question that your web developer put in, because I think that's where the answer probably lies.
And you've got 2 or 3 or 4.
Oh, wait a minute. It just went to 2001. So your cache just expired. So it just takes time. So that was what, maybe 20 minutes or so?
Huh. You are right.
What's it supposed to be?
Well, that's what we just changed it to.
Yeah, I changed it 2002 is the exact, is the right.
Yeah. So that.
Do you remember, Ron, when we looked at Lightspeed, there was a setting for the duration of the cache.
Right.
And I'm not saying that applies here, but it was set at 360 seconds.
Yeah. Now,
right?
I want to, I want to just check one other thing, see if there was a change there too. Yes, there was. I made a change in the date there too. So that, okay. Maybe.
So that,
wait, I just want to see if with home. Yes, it is working.
But you really, notwithstanding this, you really do want to know where that cache setting is.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be times when you don't want to wait.
Right.
For the
Also,
auto
I see
refresh.
the menu bar, is now back on the home page. It wasn't there before for WordPress.
So, Drew, do you think it was just the passage of time?
I think so, yeah.
Well, the thing was, no, I mean, this has been going on for days.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It wasn't just this afternoon. This has been going on for days.
Well, I wonder though, if turning on and off Lightspeed, I mean, what else did we do?
Well, it's possible that activating and deactivating the Lightspeed cache.
Or leave it on.
Yeah.
I mean, test it, turn it on, work with making some changes, give them a little bit of time to catch up. And then if nothing happens, well, then Lightspeed wasn't the cause.
Yeah. Also, you want to ask your host for their configuration parameters for their object caches. You remember when we were in the Lightspeed configuration and there was the memcached configuration page and the Redis configuration page.
Right.
Those all have settings that have to come from your host. So
okay.
If they're really if they're really nice to you, they would even set it up for you. Or more likely they'll just give you the settings to put into the page. So that
into the Lightspeed page.
Yeah, so that you can integrate your object cache into the Lightspeed cache, and then you can control everything through the Lightspeed cache.
Right. Okay, well, this is, I don't know what to say. A hearty thank you. And I'm so sorry I've taken up so much time. I'm sure you didn't really need to do that.
Well, a
But
lot of these things are hard to track down.
But I think that it tends to be instructive for people who attend these sessions to see the way the process of diagnosing something works.
Right, right.
Most of the time, there is no direct answer. Like, oh, well, that's a switch setting 14, turn it to D. But rather working down through a series of could it be this, could it be that, could it be the next thing. And actually,
Right.
that's one of the knocks on the current sort of falling in love with AI, is that AI solutions tend to start with what they think is the best solution, and they don't go through a diagnostic or troubleshooting routine.
Right.
Because unless you ask them, I guess. But one of the foremost Mac authorities evaluated a bunch of GPT answers to Mac OS problems. And he said they were garbage because they had no understanding of a troubleshooting routine where you start with the least difficult, least risky thing and work up to the most. Because the chat GPT guys or bots were coming back and saying, rebuild your system, reinstall the operating system. And this authority said, that's the worst advice imaginable.
Jack just posted a really interesting comment in the chat. It's the method of using two databases with WordPress.
Where's that in the chat?
It's in the chat.
Huh, I don't see it. Was it a DM?
I wonder if it was. Let's see. Oh, sorry, yeah, it just went to me.
We'll send it to everyone.
I wonder if I can, how do I do that?
I just copy and paste it.
Oh, and Jack sent something to everybody about HyperDB, yeah.
For using multiple databases in WordPress.
Yeah, HyperDB is a slightly different thing. What HyperDB does is it's for making multiple copies of the same database for performance purposes, so that you're not overloading one database, but it's essentially the same, just multiple copies of the same database.
Isn't that what WordPress.com uses? And
something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's for really large installations.
Yeah.
Like tens of thousands of sites.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure if it's what you're saying, Drew, as opposed to a database designed to be able to handle sort of multiple instances as if they were separate databases, but they aren't. And then there's the distribution aspect of pushing out the instances like a content delivery network would, but move the servers out so they are closer to the actual people using them. Anyway, yeah, so anything that applies to that, that would not apply to an individual WordPress site. Although I think you can run that copy of that on a WordPress site. That's not our case here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's it for you, Ron.
Yes, indeed.
And if you thought this was worthwhile, which I think you did,
yes,
put a comment on the event page saying something like, whatever.
Yeah, right.
But when you do that, you encourage other people to sort of nerve up and, come and potentially expose their ignorance.
Right. Is the event page readily seen? I mean,
Yeah, no, just the same page you signed up for the event on.
Okay.
Right. It would now be a past event, but you can add a comment at the bottom of the page.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
And that would be appreciated.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, Deirdre, I think you've been waiting so patiently, but I think you're working, but
So, you know what
Ron,
I was doing
you might
working, I just because I had my website in front of me and I thought, well, I'll start fooling around because I don't usually, and actually that's why I'm here, is I'm definitely not as, I think as, maybe I shouldn't use the word, but committed, or I'm not a devoted user of WordPress, even though I have a site. I don't know now, true confessions. I am a writer by profession, and I've been a journalist for many years. And it was my publisher's idea years ago for me to, which was a great idea, I just didn't get around to it, to launch a personal website in order to help market my books. So I wrote one book, and this is why this site is ancient history, because that first book came out in 2009, and somebody kindly helped me with that. And basically, because I didn't really know what to do, I said, sure, you know what to do. Here's the material, you do it. And it's functional. Then I had a second book come out, and I didn't really update it at all. The website, I mean, so it's still kind of reflective of this much older output of mine. And now I'm very fortunate. I want to say fortunate because not everybody can do that these days. It's not as easy anymore to do a book. To get one published. So I have a new book coming out in September. And so there's a need to try to update the site. And I guess clueless because I'm not that committed. I go in, I basically have been using it as a repository of past published work just to keep it up to date that way. I don't even know if anybody reads it, but there's a potential now for people to read it. So there's a young woman, an intern at my publishers, and she kindly created a to-do list for me to share with one of you or to see if any of you, and she was the one who told me about this session. And basically I need maybe somebody who'd want to update it or give it a cleaner look and make some suggestions. So, and excuse me if this is a completely inappropriate ask. I don't have a specific problem other than it's dated and needs refreshing in order to serve a personal goal.
Right. So you could, or at least, I'll give you in the chat window, because I do it regularly, I'll give you my email address. Okay. And just to preserve your privacy, then you email me whenever and refer to this session. And then if anybody else would like to offer themselves, just put your email address in the chat window, and that would give you however many people are offering themselves, all right?
Super. Actually, that's kind of what she suggested, that there might be some people who would want to volunteer or want to help out. And excuse me, do you want me to put my email address as well into the chat?
No. Well, I mean, sure, go ahead. It's just that I publish this chat transcript on YouTube along with the video, okay, right? And so we need to be a little bit conscious of just.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
you.
I mean, if you're bold and risk-taking, put it in. But I would, so here's mine. You've got mine, and anyone else who'd like to.
Okay, thank you. I'll record it, write it to old school, look, pen.
All right.
I'll get that down now. And as I say, I do have something already typed out, or you know what I mean, right. Documented, like list by list, so with links and everything to make it easy.
As it turns out, in the current state of the transition of WordPress from classic themes to the new Gutenberg era, the block theme, so-called, publishing text in the context of a book author is one of the prime use cases right now for the level of development of themes. If you were doing an e-commerce site, for example, one would not recommend going to a block theme as yet because there still are wrinkles to be worked out and so on. But if it's text in the main or exclusively really displaying text, and if you're a writer, well, then the routine to write and edit is quite straightforward. And so once you've got that sort of down, you're kind of off to the races, because your site can be I would think, relatively simple. That is to say, relatively little in the way of things for you to learn. The other side of the coin is that the WordPress community has put together an incredibly useful collection of videos, of webinars on doing everything, well, with a category for beginners that says, okay, you want a site, let's spend an hour and we'll talk about the first 5 things you should do to get going on a site. Or here's how you how you do a blog post in sort of the block editor. And they spend an hour going through it. And you can watch that as many times as you need to, but become quite comfortable in the process. There's nothing comparable unless you count the millions of YouTube videos whose quality can't be determined unless you know what you're doing, right? But the people who are, it's learn.wordpress.org is where you find all these resources. And I've done maybe 50 or 60 of them over the last year, and find them quite useful for the more elevated stuff that I'm interested in.
Deirdre, would you like to try this group on your questions? You had a list of questions, was it?
I think there were tasks, so to speak.
Oh,
Yeah, you got that's the correct word. It's more like tasks and like
Yeah, like do this, do that, you know,
yeah, yeah.
get a domain name, don't get a domain name, you know.
Yeah, and this lovely young lady knew about the themes and she made a suggestion for maybe a theme that would make it more up to date, more elegant. Let's put it, the first book was about Paris. And so there's a kind of French theme happening, but now this new book is on the Beatles. So it's a very, different one. And in between there was a book on ballet and ballerinas. So, she thought maybe something a little bit more, not evergreen, she didn't use that word, more timeless and elegant.
Alrighty then. So follow up and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Thank you. So that was my main thing, and thank you so much. And on to the next. And
somebody who said, it was Robert, I think, says, I have a very basic question regarding upgrades and photo upgrades and photos linking, I guess.
Yeah,
there you are.
I'm here.
Thank you for your patience.
No problem.
Hopefully it'll be rewarded.
It's interesting walking through the little problems that happen. My situation is much more basic, I'm afraid. I've just taken over this site. It's for the Ontario Chito Ryu Karate Association, and I can share my screen and show you what I've run into. We had a few issues on it. Some of our links were actually corrupted and were pointing to Russian gambling sites. We had to remove some of those, and I think we need to do an upgrade, and we have to do a little better job in presenting our association to the public through the website. So let me show you what I've got, and then you can give me some basic ideas on what we can do.
Have you had recurring problems in terms of the site's URLs being hacked, or is just over time?
No problems as far as that goes. So here's our basic site. So one of the first big things I'm sure you'll see is that we have to do an upgrade. Just some, there's all
before you, are you doing backups of your site?
I have no idea. That's a good question. I wouldn't
before you update, it's generally a good idea to either know or cause to happen a good backup.
All right, and how would I find that out? Just go to the website, guys, or?
Well, two things. I mean, most hosts, as a rule, provide backup facilities, so to speak, and they may already be running, or they may probably they're already running. But you may also have a plugin for backups, which gives you more control over the process and where the backups go and that sort of thing. So let's check first under plugins and see if you have a backup plugin.
Let's see here. Installed. So those are the installed plugins.
Okay, so we just want to scroll down and see if any of these are backups. Keep going. social media, memory usage.
I
I don't
don't
see
see
any
any.
backups. Anybody see a backup plugin?
I don't see one. And I'm not sure that anything is backed up, to be honest. I haven't noticed anything on this site that says to do a backup. I'm not even sure who the host
So
provider
guys,
is.
what do
I
we
have to find
what do we
that out.
recommend for a basic WordPress backup plugin?
Updraft Plus is good.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most common, or at least most frequent recommendations.
Okay.
And that's a good first thing to do.
Yeah.
And set it. You decide where the backups go. Although I don't know off the top of my head whether the free version provides you with the choices for cloud storage, but the normal ones are things like Google Drive, what do you call it, OneDrive, or
Right.
the iCloud from Apple, or Dropbox. Dropbox tends to be pretty small. Anyway, do you have cloud storage?
As I was saying earlier, I used Updraft Plus,
Yeah.
and I back up to Google Drive.
Yeah. Okay, so that if Robert, do you know if you have Google Drive?
We have a Google account. Our so we probably would be able to tie into Google.
Yeah, just that if you've got it, and that particular plugin does save to that particular cloud storage, well, that just solves what otherwise might be a headache.
Sure. Yeah, because before we do any changes to anything, I certainly have to make sure I have a good backup.
Right.
I have
go ahead.
another question on that, if I may, Robin.
Yes.
Under the tools menu, there's an export button.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I believe it exports everything but the theme. Is that right or not?
I think actually you can choose. So click on it. I think you have a
On the
choice
tools,
of
export.
right,
you can
all
pick all
content.
content,
Now, I can't say I've ever used this. Drew, do you know off the top of your head whether this does a complete backup, like database plus, well, all the page and post and so on? That's the database, right? But what about the files?
Right.
It doesn't do the media. Well,
Well, they give you a media
yeah.
button.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of.
I would think you're better off. I mean, one of the free plugins will give you more choices,
Yeah.
more controls than this. I think this guy is sort of put there that if you don't know anything about backups, well, this is better than nothing. But it's essentially, well, and then the other side of the coin is that there's an import function, right?
Right.
So you can import that file back, and whatever you've saved will, be replaced by the backup.
Right.
But it's not a very fine-grained tool.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like I'm used to backup capabilities, which extend so far as to like the individual tables in the database and categories of posts and such. But what you want is to start a routine where there's automatic backups happening, and that whether or not backing up is going on at the host level, because if you need recourse to that, then it's nice to know whether or not it's happening. Anyway, so we have you in a situation where you're doing regular backups, and therefore you can go ahead and update,
Right.
which a 6.2.1 update should be
Yeah.
are thought to be problem-free as a rule, or at least very unlikely to have problems compared to 6.2, for example, which you might wait a few weeks to see if anything is published or makes news about problems with the backup or problems with the update. And if there isn't any problem reported, then go ahead, because 2 million people have tried it and they're okay.
Now, with the 6.2, as we saw earlier, Jetpack did mention that problem. I didn't know whether I tried to look it up on the web, and I saw sort of mixed things about it.
What did it identify as a problem?
I forget the exact wording. 1 second. Yeah, it says regarding WordPress 6.2, unauthenticated blind SSRF
Right.
via
I would take that
DNS
string.
binding.
Yeah, have you tried Googling the string and seeing what it refers to? I would suggest you, I mean, that's Greek
Yeah,
to me.
well, I did look it up in Google, and there was a whole variety of comments. Some saying you need to do some changes in code, and others
Yes, you
saying
want to then look for the
Yeah.
authority of the person who's offering the advice.
right.
And if possible, stay to find posts or articles from name brand hosting companies, for example, or a WordPress forum, although that's not terribly reliable.
Now, I did go to, I sent off a query to my host about that, and they said I should go back to 6.0.2 WordPress, an earlier version of WordPress, to avoid that issue.
Interesting.
I don't think you like the idea of going,
I know that I didn't like the idea either, so that's one of the reasons I was planning
Sounds
to
like
bring it up
backwards.
this evening.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to delay the process here, but
And this one here too, about this upgrading the PHP, I assume that would go with the WordPress 6.2.
No,
Same idea.
no.
Oh, right. Okay. So what he's on 7.3.33. Well, was it 7.4 sort of still supported by WordPress? I'm trying to remember. Or are they gone to 8? Anybody remember off the top of their head? What are they recommending currently?
7.444.
oh,
Sorry, which one?
7.4.4.4.
So that would be another upgrade then.
Wait a second.
Which would
I'm
have to
sorry,
be
I
done.
just didn't hear you clearly, Jack, because it's either 7 dot something or 8 dot something for PHP.
No, it's not an 8 dot yet.
Well, then it's 7 something. So what?
Yeah, 7.4.4.
Okay, right.
That would make sense. So that would be
That's a pretty
separate
minor
update,
upgrade.
is it? Okay. And how does
Um,
one find out what host you're on? Is there something in here that would tell me what host we're using? Or do I just have to try and figure that out from somewhere else?
Well, I think if you go to, I'm sorry, you want to know, what is it you want to know?
Who's the host of this site? Like, I'm
Well,
not
the
even
host-
sure who the host is.
Right,
think that
but so
people
what?
use
I mean,
that to
what has
bill
that got to
everyone.
do with things?
You were talking about backups and
Right.
whatnot. Yeah, it doesn't matter then.
Well, if we're talking about PHP,
You gotta
Right.
contact your.
I mean, they're at the hosting level, there is a PHP setting,
Hmm,
which is what you'd want to use to change the version,
okay.
right? And I know on cPanel, the one trick in the old version of cPanel is that there was like a save button, or it wasn't called save, it was called apply. So you made the change to the PHP version, and then you had to remember to apply it before you left that page. That sent me around the bend a few times.
Hmm,
And then once you learn, obviously you don't forget it. Anyway, let's go back to Robert. Where did we leave off with you? We're backing you up so that you're ready.
Yep.
So
So I
that you can
need a
now go
plugin here
to,
then, right? So I got to get a new plugin to do some backups, like Updraft Plus or something like that.
Yep.
Okay. And then once I've done that, I've backed it up, then you can proceed with the
right. Bearing in mind
the
that it's a
upgrade.
minor version update, meaning a
Okay.
dot, the dot one.
Yeah.
And I haven't, that update came out a little while ago. And
Okay.
I haven't heard anything. Now you've got a bunch of plugins that need updating as well, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Probably.
I think that you'll find that there's
Could be.
probably
Chito
half of them.
All those yellow lines.
Yeah. Now, if you're,
Yeah.
I mean, what they refer to as sort of a cowboy sort of personality, well, you just select them all the updates, and just hit the button and go for it.
Or I can just do them one by one.
Or do them one by one. I kind of prefer doing them in smaller batches.
Yeah. Just in case.
But actually, recently on several sites, I've come up with a message that says, I forget exactly what it was, but it was essentially saying the update is happening or pending or whatever, give it a chance. And that's a maintenance mode notification that glitches from time to time. At least it did in the versions of the 6.2 something version that these sites were on. And anyway, it's easily gotten rid of just by refreshing and knowing that it doesn't actually mean anything in the normal case. So yeah, these guys should be updated. I see you've got the PHP compatibility checker. If you were really an anal sort of personality, you would run that plugin to find out if you have any plugins which are not compatible with 7.4.4. That's the reason for that plugin.
That's this one here.
Yeah, so you start the scan, it comes back and reports, everything
Okay.
good, or these two plugins won't run on the specified PHP version. Anyway,
Makes
that's
sense.
just being careful
Yeah.
when you're doing a PHP update. That's the reason for
Okay.
that particular guy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think it was Deirdre that was saying something about commenting about her experience with her site about not knowing sort of what was going on. And it just brought to mind the fact that analytics isn't a question that's come up much in our meetups lately. But the big change with Google Analytics is July the 1st, right? All the old data in Universal Analytics ceases to be available on July the 1st.
Meaning what?
Meaning that you better get Google Analytics 4 running and get the data recognized in the new version before that cutoff date arrives, because that's been the warning for a year and a half or something that, on July 1st, 2023, we're cutting off access. So make sure you get over to the new version. And here is a migration wizard, which actually experts SEO experts that I know, at least analytics experts that I know, say doesn't work very well, and that they don't want to use. But that's an esoteric point that you need to bother yourself with. Okay, so anything else? What else can we help you with?
The other, you mentioned earlier about a site you had for learning the WordPress.
Yes, it's called
What is it?
learn.wordpress.org.
Okay, I got it.
And by the way, the quick way to get anywhere in WordPress.org is to type w.org.
Oh, okay.
And those guys have enough. Automatic has enough money to buy a single character .com domain. That must have cost 7 digits. But I guess when you're a billionaire, that's just pocket change. Okay, Robert, you
All
good
right,
to go?
thank you. That's good. Yep, that gets
Okay.
me on the way.
I have a question.
Who was that?
I have a question. It's some new user, but it's actually Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah.
Hi, Sophia.
How are you doing?
You can change new user to your own name if you wish.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It shouldn't be coming up like that. It has something to do with my laptop. I have a question about a website I'm working on for a doctor. It's
Yeah.
I've been working on it for a while, so I'm just updating everything. It's using the Divi theme. I don't know if I put the URL in the chat there. Now there's a widget. It's the Divi theme, and there's a widget on the right-hand side for the social media and some contact information. And it's basically on like every page except maybe the home page and the contact page. But all the other pages in between, it's on. And I didn't create it, but I've edited recently. I've had to update it recently. And I noticed like when you're going from page to page, it like flickers. It flickers up and down. And I don't know if it's a coding or a CSS
Why don't you
problem.
show us?
Okay, how do I
So you get your site displayed in a browser tab, and then you click the green button at the bottom of the Zoom window where it says share screen.
okay, let me get out of this.
See it?
Hold on.
I find that if you've got a whole bunch of windows open, that you want to make sure that the window you want to share is foremost. And then that appears usually in the top left corner of the display that comes up in the share screen command.
Okay, so you're saying take the URL and put it in the
No, just simply display your site in a tab. Then you go back to Zoom, click the share screen
okay.
button, find the window in what's displayed, and it'll be then displayed to us all.
Okay, I'm back here at Zoom. Sorry.
So have you got the site in your tab?
Yes.
Okay, and then it's the green button, at
Share
the bottom of the
screen.
screen,
Share screen.
the bottom
Okay.
of the Zoom screen,
Okay.
that's your screen.
Okay, there it is.
Click on the right window.
Share. Okay, you got it? Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah.
Okay, so show us what you're concerned about.
So okay, starting with like our services here. Okay, see there's a widget down here on the right bottom, which is location, the contact information, and then it's got like a social media Twitter feed here.
Yep.
Okay, so when you go from every page, like I said, it's on like all the pages in between the home page and the contact page, and it flickers up and down. I don't know if you can see that.
Not yet.
Can you? Okay, just if you keep your
Oh,
eye.
right. Okay, so in other words, there's a layout shift.
Yeah, and like I don't know why if it's something to do with the coding.
No, actually, layout shifts are a common problem that
Okay.
most people don't notice and address,
Mm-hmm.
and that Google punishes you in a search ranking if there's too much layout shifting going on. In other words, it measures the layout shifts that occur on a page as part of its ranking algorithm.
Right.
Right. Now, would one of you guys like to pick up the ball here and diagnose the problem? Jack, why don't you do it? Are you there, Jack?
Yeah. I've got the site up on my machine, and you can definitely see I have a fairly concentrated display at this point in time, and you can see that there's a lot of shift going on just
Well, I
about every
don't know if
page.
I'd say there's a lot of, but I mean, there is a layout shift of a half an inch or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Sure. So let's how do we remedy it?
That's a good question. Depends on. Let me just quickly do a note. A built with to see what is being used as the underlying code theme, and
It's Divi theme.
okay, let's see, tech. It's Google API, Yoast plugins, Google Analytics, Monarch social sharing, WordPress plugins, Super Cache. Don't see a theme here. Oh, there's Gutenberg.
It's Divi theme. If you go to appearance, that's the main theme.
Actually, interesting. That
Oh, there it is, Divi.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, missed that. Normally it's at the top, but in this case it's right at the bottom. And so in Divi theme, it's usually quite disciplined in terms of layout and so forth.
Yeah, I did. It was there for a long time, and just recently, since I edited it, I think I made some kind of change to the contact information.
Yeah.
And then that's when it started flickering and jumping like that. But before that, it was fine. You know, just
That's interesting.
yeah, since like I think like that what it says Southern Ontario clinic, that was like wasn't bold and it was a different color. That's like the only change I made. And it started flickering like that. And I also tried to like maybe shrink, like decrease some of the font size and stuff, but it didn't seem to make a difference. And I don't even know if like redoing the widget, because it's fairly simple. The widget is simple. Redoing it would even make a difference. I tried to what is it, the height and the width, because that's what it seems. It seems like when it's jumping like that, it's like trying to force its way into that space for some reason. That's what it looks
Yes,
like.
but let's use the correct term for it.
Yeah.
It's called layout shift.
Layout
right?
shift, okay.
And it's something that is, as I mentioned, from an analytics point of view, it actually matters because layout shifts occur throughout a page. And so what Google does is it calculates how many and to what extent these shifts are occurring, and then calculates how much of a penalty to associate with that page as a result. Now, if you look at, for example, let me see now, this particular page from WP Rocket, it'll go through an extensive explanation of the fact that there are multiple layout shifts that occur on a page, which is normal, but it's when they reach the point where they are sort of visually apparent to the extent that this guy is, that you have a concern, right? And I think you're exactly on the money when you're saying, well, it's the amount of content that I put into the widget that's likely causing the shift. That is to say, first the widget box, the container for this that the widget supplies, it fires up, and then the text is loaded into it, I guess, and then that is bigger than the initial layout of the widget. So therefore it goes from where it was originally positioned to a new position to accommodate the extra content. Now, how do you remedy that if you've already played with the widget? I'm not sure, but what about just cutting the contact in as a test? Create a page. Well, actually, I'm trying to think of some way to test it without other people seeing it. But if you cut the amount of content in the widget in half, does that affect that? But it could be any of the widgets because they're a stack, right? All the stuff in the sidebar,
Yeah, all of it
stacked up,
yeah.
Right? And if you don't have margin or padding settings for the widgets, to move them farther apart or closer together, if that's some default spacing, then well, I guess what you have to do is provide more space for that, for at least one of those widgets, right? So one of the widgets has to handle more content than it's configured for, and therefore that's what's causing the shift. I mean, that could be the cause of the shift.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I don't know, because like I said, I did try and fiddle around with it. Like,
can you show us in the customizer where, if there's any option to control the padding or margins of widgets in the right sidebar?
Okay.
Do you have a sidebar level control, or is it just the widgets themselves? Anyway, let's, Jack. I mean, I don't mean to take this over, but it seems to me that this is the path that we should be taking. Oh, I just realized that the stuff that I've been sending is
have you clicked login? Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Okay. Yeah, so I think it's this one here.
All right. No, this is not where do we,
This is
okay,
the
let's,
info. This is just
Yeah.
like the information. So you want like all the actual
well, just scroll down a little bit. I want to see whether there's any. There's no control over the layout from this particular, this is just the widget text, right?
yeah, the text, some of the text, like it's like you
Right.
said, it's basically in layers, like
Right, but I mean, we're not looking at the customizer yet. Let's try that. Under the, there it is. And there should be something there for sets, widget settings or right sidebar or,
There's something interesting in the widgets setting that we just, we in the page we
Sorry.
just had about the jQuery helper plugin.
okay, can we go back one step there
sure.
and answer?
Notice the message at the top of it, the jQuery migrate helper.
Okay.
So it's a plugin that says you might no longer need. I wonder because the positioning often does use jQuery. So I'm wondering if you are getting a JavaScript conflict with this jQuery migrate helper.
Yeah, I think it installed that plugin like a while ago, and I don't even think I need it anymore.
Yeah, let's try turning that off and see if that makes a difference.
That's sort of a dumb name for a plugin, isn't it? Starting the plugin's name off with the word enable.
Okay, so,
Well, I'm still seeing the effect, but I think it's a little bit less. Don't know if it's my imagination or not. Well, no, I'm still seeing the effect.
yeah, it's still jumping for some.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Another thing that can cause issues like this is optimization plugins. Some optimization plugins do things like
I think I have.
minify and merge CSS files and JavaScript files.
Yeah, I have one. It's not activated. Image optimizer.
No, that one doesn't do that.
Yeah, that's only one I have.
Super Cache does. Actually, do you have any more than one cache? That's
No, that's it.
let's have a look at the Super Cache settings. Okay. And it's probably on the advanced tab up at the top.
Oh,
Or maybe, yeah, let's have a look at advanced. And okay, let's go to the next tab, which is content, I believe. Or yeah, content tab.
WP cache. Cache stats last generated 450,000 minutes ago.
what does that mean?
Hmm. Yeah,
What about just deleting the
I look
cache
at-
and letting it rebuild?
well, no, that's yeah, I thought that super cache had a setting for we want to list all cache files. Let's go through the tabs one at a time. So the easy.
Caching disabled for logged in users.
Okay, and advanced. Okay, no, it's not here. All right, that's next tab, CDN. Don't think it'll be on this tab, but we'll have a look anyway. No, not on this one. The contents, I think we did look. Let's have a look at contents again. No, no, not here. Okay. Reload. No. Next plugins.
What is it you're looking for, Drew?
Well, what I'm looking for is the settings for optimization for specifically for combining CSS files and JavaScript files and debug. Okay. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe super cache doesn't do that. I thought it did. Okay, so maybe that's if super cache doesn't do that, then that's not your problem.
Well, here's something. Here's the first hit on what causes WordPress layout shift. Layout shifts happen because browsers tend to load page elements asynchronously. More importantly, there may be media elements on your page with initially unknown dimensions. This combination means the browser doesn't know how much space the individual elements will take up until they're done loading.
Okay, so redoing like the because what I see is that widget is a combination of the what's in the customizer,
Right?
and also one of the modules that's included in the Divi theme. But this widget.
So that would be what? Which I don't see the right sidebar.
Where did it go?
You just got footer areas there. I don't know. Homepage settings.
Is there any additional CSS that you put in?
Yeah, I put in a bit. I put in quite a bit, like all this.
Okay.
This is all recently, you know, because the site needed, there's a lot of updating and just to get it,
Yeah.
but I had no problem, like I said, just that one, everything is going smoothly except for that side widget.
Does any of this CSS, intended to affect the way that right sidebars widgets are displayed?
No, it shouldn't.
Well, the reason I ask is because you could, as merely a test, remove that additional CSS and just see whether or not there's any change in the layout shift
Okay.
or its elimination. And if it is eliminated, well, then you've found at least the next place to investigate. And if there's no change, regardless of whether there's additional CSS, then you've eliminated that as a potential cause, right?
And this is a good time to introduce the concept of staging sites. Basically make a copy of the live site onto a separate site that only you can see, so that you can test things without the whole world seeing what you're doing.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, the last time I was on this meetup, I actually did that with the whole site because I was updating the there was something wrong with the theme. And
What did you use for staging?
the one I still have, I don't think I have it anymore. It was the WordPress staging, WordPress staging.
WP staging?
Yes.
Right. That's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the most expensive and most featured one when it's the premium version. I just look at the available widgets, footer areas, sidebar, text.
Like here.
Wait a second. Just scroll back up.
Mhm.
Right to the top, where we've got the sidebar, where it says text edit. This is where you've changed.
Yeah, I had to do the major change there.
Okay, so let's open that up.
This was like I said, the
Yeah, we look at this, but I'm just
the
wanting to
rest of
check.
it.
Why don't you click the text tab there and just on the, so this is just, other than the strong,
Yeah.
the link. So the only HTML.
See, there's a widget, not a widget, a module that's included in the Divi theme. I don't know if you're familiar with that theme. It's all modules, right? That you have
Right.
to. So so the sidebar is basically like this is before you. So once you change it here, I don't know what it was called, dynamic. You make a change here, it'll change all of them wherever it is, right?
Right, because it's a template.
Right, exactly. So like I was trying to figure out if this was the problem, but
Well, do you know
see
for a fact that all of the images that are displayed on whatever page you're looking at have their height and width specified correctly?
Yeah, I did try and like go on one page. I think it was the about the first services page, one of those pages, and like increase the height, but it didn't really make a difference.
I see something interesting on this page here. You notice that the yellow outline around this thing is that's about the amount of shift that we're getting.
Well,
Yes,
maybe-
of course.
So
Sure.
okay.
So we have a container within a container.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, I think this green means that it's what, dynamic, right? Means, so this is, what do you call it? This is like a row, and this is like the columns, I guess we call
But
it.
they're slightly different sizes.
Yeah, so you're maybe thinking to change, I don't know.
Well, if you made them the same size,
Mhm.
then that has the potential to
Okay.
prevent a layout shift.
Yeah, because
as Drew's observed correctly, that, gee, that looks like the amount of shift.
yeah, where is this?
Actually, this is a good example of what, when the term layout shift is much more helpful to understanding what to do than this notion of flickering, because there's nothing in the website that deals with flickering.
So like this.
Layouts are what the site's all about. Sidebar settings, okay.
So, yeah, so I guess it's here. They have like the,
Yep, layout, right, alignment, border separate. What is that? Border separator. Show border separator.
yeah, that's just, I think here, this one here.
So, well, under design, let's look at sizing down at the bottom.
I noticed there was also scroll effects. thing
Here again.
somewhere.
Yeah, but go down to,
I think it's
well, let's
size.
try sizing first.
Yeah, so one of these, I don't know if I, so yeah, at the bottom, there's, I think that's a standard 20 pixels at the bottom. But here, like, it shows nothing at the
Nothing
top.
at top. Hmm.
Yeah, so I don't,
What if you tried 0
yeah,
0 pixels? I find time sometimes with CSS and a layout that just a 0 value
yeah, it's true.
works. Now, is that what we just accomplished or no?
No, nothing. But now that you've mentioned it, that might be causing the problem, because I don't know if I noticed that before. So I'm just trying to see how I can get rid of that space, because
Now,
that-
if you were to just pull it where for the container that the widget part, the green one, or at least the forefront one, if you just pull that down and make it shorter, then the other one,
the dark, this one here.
yeah, or move that up or the other one down so that they overlap, or at least one covers the other, just by dragging it.
Yeah, it's not working. Dragging, it's not really working. That's why it's not working. I don't know if I can. You can
Maybe
also
it's
put,
locked. It could be locked. What is it? What is the layout? Okay, so it's minimum.
But okay, so you could also put like a minus. I don't know what the hell it is, minus.
Yeah, that can have, anyway, and if a minus value works, well, good, but you have to be careful with that.
That's staying,
Well, same thing applies to
yeah.
padding.
It went up a bit, see, so. it did
Okay,
go-
so let's do a little more of that value and see if we can get it to,
Maybe another 5. You did it 20, maybe 25. All right, they look like they match now. All right, so let's save this setting and see what happens.
just open a tab just to display the page. So we don't have to go back to, go around.
I think I still see it. Yeah, I'm still seeing it.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe, but it might have something to do with that space. If I redo it.
Yeah, just by the by, there is a meetup group, I think it's in Southern California, that is dedicated to Divi.
Oh, okay.
And they have help sessions and so on, like ask an expert sort of thing. And so that's always, I mean, we'd prefer to help you ourselves, but better that you be helped by somebody else if we can't do it.
Yeah. You said it's in California?
Yeah, but it's Zoom, right?
Right, yeah. Just so I
And they
know.
do, I think they're actually more frequent than monthly.
Okay, okay. I'll try and check it out, see if I can get some help.
Actually, there could well be more Divi groups. So search Meetup for Divi and, pick the largest one that has something equivalent to our site clinic thing here. It's a nice site. I mean, and we've identified what the problem is. We know that it's the layout shift problem, that it's a common problem, and that it could be caused by dimension issues or padding or margins and so on. And so if there was that Divi meetup in the next week or 10 days or whatever, then save yourself the time of sort of dicking around with it and just give them the problem, because there's the chance that someone will say, well, I know what to do with that. That's really blah blah blah.
Thanks. You've been very
Yeah,
helpful.
the meetup is Friday, I think.
Friday, okay, great. I'll look into it.
Yeah, the Divi meetup.
Just don't forget actually Meetup does the translation of the conversion of the time, because I think it's the West Coast. Jack, is it the West Coast, LA or something?
No, it's the Brampton.
Brampton.
Divi meetup.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
Is it? And it's dedicated, right?
Yeah, dedicated to Divi.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I
Yeah.
wonder if that's the one that I've been following, because they have really good programming. And anyway, be that as it may. All right. We
Thank you.
are,
Thanks.
well, unless anybody else has any further thoughts, I think we've gone as far with that one as we can. Sorry, we can't nail it right down, but
No, it's been helpful.
yeah, we move forward and
yeah.
know a little bit more. At least you know the correct term for the problem, and that
Yeah.
in some
Layout.
respects is half of the battle,
Mhm.
right? There's lots of resources out there through Google or whatever on this problem, because it affects page ranking. People care about it, right?
So you say the more shifting there is, Google.
Well, shifting is a common problem,
Okay.
common enough that they have a specific metric to measure it, and that the link that I put in the chat there goes through, you can have a variety of layout shifts occurring. It's the cumulative value that Google calculates, right? You don't accumulate values unless there's more than one, right? So I think what they do is they measure how many components shift how much, and then they get a cumulative total, and then decide how far from what they consider acceptable from a user's point of view they allow, and then penalize accordingly as a form of encouragement to fix the problem.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a whole bunch of metrics, and I've just actually gone through a study group exercise to qualify for Google Analytics 4. And one of the things I learned is that it's unbelievable the number of things that you can track nowadays in analytics, compared to the last time I looked carefully at what the options were. And things like tracking a person's journey through the website, where they land, what pages did they visit, how long did they spend, when did they return, which pages did they return to, which pages have they been on more than once. Well, that's kind of interesting stuff if you're trying to evaluate the effectiveness of your design and such. So anybody out there that has a problem we can solve quickly, potentially, because we're at our end of session time. Peter, somebody had a question about images or something?
I haven't asked about images. I just I'm very new to this. I got a very basic blog, and I want to set up a camera on that. So I have a live camera on a bird's nest.
Cool.
So I just put that in the chat right now. Should I share? Let me share screen. Can I share screen? Oh, okay. So
yeah, right. And have you asked Dr. Google what he thinks or she thinks or it thinks?
Some things, but I mean, like, there's all these cameras out there. Like, I even have to buy a camera to do this, so I'm not sure what to do about that. Plus, the website is there's very little to it. Oh, someone brought the website up.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's me.
Okay. I can. Let me see. Let me share the. Okay. If I'm going to share the screen, I have to. Everyone else to.
I think actually what you're talking about
Yeah.
is live streaming from your site.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, again,
And,
again, this notion of the right terminology is essential in order to find resources, right? How to
Yes.
embed a live stream on a WordPress site. Okay, well, that was pretty easy.
Okay.
Now let's see if it makes any sense. So I'll give you the link.
Okay.
Here it is.
I'll write this down.
And the search is this guy. And to use the link, just click on it, and then it'll open a new tab in whatever browser window is foremost.
Okay. I'm clicking there now.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Another thing too, though, like I've got
Just
nothing on this, like
just
categories or widgets, and I would like to make this like a whole thing, like updated every day, saying, "Oh, this happened," and link it to Facebook and things like that. So,
Well, this is a WordPress site, right?
yeah.
So blogging is what its original core purpose is. And so now you'd be hard pressed to get rid of the blogging capability in a site. So it's already there, ready to go. So have you ever created a post?
I've got a few posts. Like, I had this site like years ago. I started it up. I had a good idea and I never followed through with it. So.
Okay, but
Oh,
so what's the question? Like, how do I create a post or?
Oh, well, technically this is just.
Categories. And if you're in the editor looking at a new post, on
Yeah.
the right-hand side, you'll have the option of assigning a category to the post or by creating a new category to the post.
Okay.
And then that's one thing you can do. And then the other thing you can do is put tags on, which are like keywords. Categories are hierarchical in nature, right? So you have category, subcategory, subcategory. And tags are not. They're just a cloud of words.
Okay.
And mostly useless.
Okay. Useless,
But that all comes through when you added a new post, or add a post, meaning create a new one.
Yeah.
The editor comes equipped with those tags and category options to use. And all the other settings that relate to the particular post that you've got in front of you. I take it this is an older, perhaps even an antique theme?
It's 2020.
Really?
Like the default when I.
Oh, so you're in good shape. You can run the latest versions of everything. 2020 is not block savvy, is it? No, it's 21, 22, 23, I think.
Okay.
Have you been in the editor for posts recently? 2 or 3 years?
The editor, I just went down the site, and that's how I created the page. Went into the editor. So.
Yeah, but you know,
Dashboard.
when you're editing a post or a page.
Yeah, I said like so on my dashboard. It was like, what did I do?
Why don't you show us your dashboard?
Okay, actually, you're looking at somebody else. So I'm not sharing my screen. Someone else is.
Oh, we're looking at you right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Oh, yes. Now I can share my screen. You're right.
No problem.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, dashboard. Here we go. Share. How did I do this?
So let's
we
go
just, like,
to up a little bit, up to
New
posts.
page.
You want,
Yeah.
well, you were talking about blogging, right?
Yeah. So I just
Blogging
added a
is-
new page.
Yeah, blogging
Okay.
is posts.
Oh, okay. All posts. Okay.
So there's a basic distinction between posts and pages.
Yes.
Blog posts, I think, are what you're talking about right now. That is, this is a series of things that you write that come out generally in chronological order, right? If you do posts, then there are a bunch of things built into WordPress that make them relatively easy to use. Pages are kind of a, well, I mean, there's nothing fundamentally different in displaying content, but the things that support it, the add-on, the controls that you get are a little different, a little smaller, less extensive. So let's add a new post.
Yeah. Okay. Add a new post. Okay.
Yeah, just to look at it.
Okay. Okay. Add new.
Sure.
Post. Clicking on it. I clicked. What's it doing? Oh,
okay.
This looks very much like the page.
Right. This is what's referred to as the block editor.
Yeah.
Just so that you know that there's the block editor, which you're looking at right now. And then there's the editor that you might have used 3, 4, 5 years ago, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, called now the classic editor.
Okay.
And if for some reason you became unhappy with the block editor, which you shouldn't, but if you did, there is a plugin that lets you make use of the classic editor from the old days. I'm not recommending it. I'm just telling you that that's an option that you should be aware of. In any event, if you look on the right-hand side here, this is where the cool stuff is that lets you adjust the way this particular post is going to work. But we're about to create a post using the block editor, which means that the page is built out of blocks. And if you go to the left-hand side of the page, where that plus sign is, or sorry, those three slashes, you see the 3 slashes? Click that. Okay. And now that is going to list the blocks that you add to this page. As you add them, they'll be displayed there. So you can,
okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then if you click the plus button above it, see that one? The first tab that you're on, blocks.
These are the
is
type of
all the blocks that are available to use. The simplest one is the paragraph block, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to click and drag the paragraph block onto the page,
okay.
right, you'd be good to go. Now, it just so happens that the paragraph block is the default block. If you just start typing, you'll be in a paragraph block.
Right.
But you could add, every time you start a new paragraph, you'll end up in a new block, because that's the paradigm. But what you need to become familiar with, and that learn.wordpress.org is the place to go for just how do I create blog posts? And they'll go through, how do you figure out, how do you get to this place? How do you choose these blocks? Once the block, let's drag almost any block, just say, take the, I don't know.
It's a classic.
No, definitely not. I mean, classic means let's go back in time. Let's just use a paragraph block.
Okay.
Just start typing, actually. Just type, this is a test. Down where it says choose a block. Okay, hit return. Okay, now.
That's a block up here, and this is a new block.
Right, and now if you were to click in that first block, and you were looking in the list view, that 3 little line guy.
Yeah.
Up here in the top left, right?
Oh, up here, sorry.
Yeah, click there. Now you can see there's the paragraph you added, and the next paragraph's below.
Right.
Now to make sure that when you want to work on a block, that you are showing that block settings on the right-hand side, you click in that list. It highlights what you're clicking on, and then the stuff in the right side here is what belongs to that block by way of settings. Right?
Okay, yes.
So if you wanted the text to be bigger, smaller, blah, blah, blah. If you wanted to add an image, you'd click that plus button and look for the image block. If you wanted to add a heading, you'd find the heading block. If you wanted to add a YouTube video, which there'd be an a block which is categorized as an embed block that is the way that you would host a video or any one of a number of things. Probably
I think in the past for YouTube videos, I just put a link in and I had it, like I had the video up, but there's like
but that's because you had something as a container for it. Well, that's what these blocks do.
That also might be a good way to do the video stream, is to
But I would just check to see, like this article that I found.
okay.
They say, for
Motion.
example, you need to download a live streaming software app like OBS. But that's for broadcasting, not for live streaming, come to think of it.
Yeah. But if you live stream your camera to YouTube and then just publish the YouTube live stream, that should work.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's exactly.
But that's not live though, is it? Or
yes, actually, YouTube. Why not do it there? Because then anybody can find it and it's good to go. Now, I think also there's a way to do this where somebody just gets a URL from you, and they can then display your feed, your live stream, in their own page or on a browser page or whatever. They don't have to be in a site or go to your site. But there's bound to be a block that's recommended for use. Let me just see here now.
what should I look for?
Well, one of the things they said is how to embed a live stream. Sign up for a free streaming video provider account. No contract or credit card required. And then you just basically follow the instructions and the screenshots and so on.
Oh, that's the link you gave me?
Yeah. And then it says, basically it goes through every step, including customizing the thing. And this particular site has how do you embed a YouTube live stream, a Twitch stream, a Facebook live stream. These are all places where you can promote your stream, right?
Okay.
But basically,
so it wouldn't be a WordPress stream, it would be a YouTube stream or a Facebook stream.
Right. Because I mean, does anybody, if you're looking at a birdhouse, does anybody care whether it's WordPress or
No, I just want people to look.
Joe Blow's CMS, right? I mean, it's the thing you're getting that you care about, not the thing that was sending it. If it's in YouTube, you get the opportunity for people to find it with YouTube search or Google search, which would be more effective than your site search, than finding your site, right?
I guess so.
I mean, YouTube's a little bit more popular.
Yeah. That's right. So, okay. So my question is though, okay, so you showed me how to do a post, but I already created that page. Would the post go into that page or?
Oh, wait a sec. As the post that you created, did it look like this when you started?
It looked like this when I started.
Okay. Well, then
but I went to add new page.
Editor and you got so just edit that page. Just delete this guy, don't save it and
okay, I'm gonna go back.
Get rid of it.
Okay, so
and then edit the post you did create. You create a page.
I created a page. So
remember that pages and posts are not the same thing.
Yes. Okay. Oh, so I should just edit this one. They're not the same thing. Okay.
Well, there are some advantages for you in being a post rather than a page, but you probably could just simply copy these blocks from this page to the new post page and just paste them in.
Okay, and there's an advantage of doing the post instead.
Actually, yes. Well, the categories and tags are built in, right? You mentioned them.
Ah, okay.
Plus, if you have more than one post, there's a mechanism to display 2 posts, 4 posts, a stream of posts already built into WordPress that you'd have to configure yourself if it were a page and you wanted to display more than one, like tiles, and you click on a tile and you go to posted page. Well, that's built into the post side, not on the page side. But
Okay.
this is a block world, and therefore there's a query loop block that a page can use, but you just have to know slightly more.
Okay.
Anyway, so copying blocks, this involves one little tricky thing. What you want to do is get the code view of this thing, which is, where is that 3-dot menu, I think. Where is it? My mind's just gone blank, guys. And no, over on the right-hand side. Right-hand side.
Right-hand side?
Yeah.
What is it?
I think
Oh, code, code. Yeah.
Yeah, the code view, right.
Let me find it. There's block.
Okay. No, up here, it's a page level control, but over a bit, no. Settings, try settings. Yeah, okay, what the hell? Top toolbar, wait a second, visual editor, code editor.
Code editor.
Yeah, the reason why we're talking about the
Cut
code
and paste
editor
that.
is if you cut and paste this and then go to the code editor on the post page, then what you're doing is just, well, should work flawlessly. I have this
Okay, thanks. Yes.
personal
That's
authority plus one of the block editor gurus.
what is that? How did I do it? But yeah,
Yeah,
code
so
editor, visual editor. Okay. I'll go back to visual.
And for every post and page, that page versus block pair of tabs is standard, right?
Okay. A new.
Now, it won't do the title, but it'll do the one below that. Anyway, first
Yes.
go to the code editor, go to the code editor, right?
Yeah.
And
There we go.
okay,
So
so
it's
what
there.
you want to do is that the new or the old?
This is the new one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I copied it, but I pasted it in the old way. I mean, in the. I could still paste it. Let's put it that way.
Right. Okay, so let's get out of this and go back to the visual editor, and then you can add.
Okay.
You can add that here, except that it's just safer
Okay.
if you're not a coder to only do these limited things in the code editor.
Okay.
Because this view is fairly bulletproof, right? It's hard to screw up.
Yes,
You
and I'm
put a
not going to
period-
change the
you put a
theme or
period
anything.
in the wrong place in the code side, and you might cause the whole site to crash.
What's the code? Is it PHP or?
Well, it depends on where you're at, but what we copied was HTML,
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
which is,
That's all I'm putting in.
yeah, I mean, it's neither here nor there from our point of view. Okay, I think you're good to go. Do see, search and determine whether or not there is a block available specifically for what you want, live streaming, because it sounds like Drew's suggestion, do a YouTube the embed block for YouTube, and then live stream it through YouTube.
Okay. Thanks. That's
something.
good. I'm going to publish this. It's all right.
Block should work. I don't think you'll need a specific live streaming block. Just the
Well, if you want to live stream something other than YouTube or
Oh, right.
what's included, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the embedding is where is the live stream being sent to be displayed. And I'm sure you can find some place to display it for which there isn't an embed block included. They've included like 20 plus of them. But there's a lot of ways to do things, right? Anyway, I think you're good to go.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, it's nice to
I should-
end on a note where we actually, got that job done.
Well, well, it's good because I have no idea how to go. So I think
Well,
you
and
guys helped a
remember
lot.
that our request that if you found this helpful, and I think you have, go to our meetup group page for this event, which will be under past events. Go to the bottom of the page where you can add a comment and just say, hey, anybody want to solve a problem? I went there and it worked out pretty nicely.
Okay, sorry. Where do I go for that? Just in here?
You know where you signed up for this event?
Oh, right, the meetup page.
Right,
Yes.
the meetup page. When you go back to the site, you'll have to go to the group level, and then it'll say events. You click events, and it'll say then next past event or current event. Well, this event's over, right? It's past. So to get to that page, you go to the past pages list. The first one of which is this page, is this event. At the bottom of the page is a place where anybody can add a comment, ask a question, make a comment, whatever. But it's a nice place for you to say, hey, this worked for me, at least so far. I'll report back later if the suggestions were good or whatever.
Okay.
And that just encourages other people.
Okay, well,
And-
thank you.
And if I
Okay.
may just say it, maybe I didn't understand, Robin. Am I still going to be getting some emails, or am I
You're gonna
to go
email
somewhere
me.
else?
You're going to email me so that I have your email address,
Right,
and then I'll
right.
email you back.
Okay, apologize. I didn't
No
understand.
problem. No
Okay.
problem.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, I think we've hit the time to say goodnight. Actually, it's almost 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
But
it
as
was
all,
very useful. Thank you. It actually
And
got
it's
me
fun.
even looking at my own site while I was listening to the other people. So I
I
was
think also when
paying
you
attention.
hear people doing things, you become more enthused about,
Yeah, it motivates. Mhm,
yeah, it's a motivating thing, which is great.
sure. So
Okay,
thank you.
we'll sign off now. And if anybody wants to check anything we've discussed, within usually a day or so, I'll have the video of this session on the YouTube group for the same name as the meetup page, WPTO Toronto, I guess it is. Anyway, there'll be that, the video plus the chat transcript plus the live transcript, which is some AI processing our spoken word and doing a so-so job of it. There's actually a product called grain.com, which not only does a brilliant job of transcription of the live, the flow of us speaking, but it then also produces summaries and highlights and a timeline for the meeting, right? So if it's a business thing you're doing, wow, that can be really helpful. Any event. That's it for us tonight.
Thank
See
you.
all- See you all next month.
Okay,
See you later,
thanks.
Drew.
Thank you.
Okay, good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Night.